what do you use? Like when you think AI, most people think ChatGPT. And I want to help you figure out not only how to use ChatGPT, but how to use other systems and when to use them. Now, AI is changing all the time. It is going to continue to evolve, and it's the biggest challenge as you're trying to learn to use it. So my goal is to do this as a monthly meeting. Every single first Thursday of the month, unless I'm on vacation, we are going to get together for an hour, and I'm going to give you just an update on different ways you can use these tools. Today, my goal is to introduce you to the 4 main tools that I use, how I use them, and why. So if you can walk away from this with that understanding of what are the 4 main tools that I use, how I use them, and why, then I will have done my job. Hold on one second. I want to do one more thing here. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into my presentation. It's going to be a lot of information, but I'm giving you little bits of it, so hopefully it is digestible. My job, my role today really is to just give you a basic understanding. Feel free to ask questions if something that I've said doesn't make sense. All right, so first of all, why should you use AI in your business? I think we all hear about the buzzword of AI. Everybody hears about ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the biggest, most well-known AI, or what's called a large language model. I'm going to talk a lot about it today, but these features, these things that I think about, there's some other tools that are equally good or better. So what are some of the things that I do? First of all, I help automate a lot of routine tasks in my business, and I'll show you how I do some of that stuff. I use it to stay ahead of competition with real-time insights, and I'll give you a couple of examples of where I get my content and how I'm pulling that information to make me look like the smartest guy in the room. Deliver better customer service through consistency. Now, that sounds great, but let me explain to you what that is. I use AI to help me track notes of all of my meetings, including summaries for myself and for my clients. So if you think about in your business and you are talking with a client, now a lot of you are realtors, some of you are not, and you're in other professions. I'm going to use real estate and mortgage a lot, but I'm going to make sure this is applicable to anybody in any profession. And when you are meeting with your clients, one of the things you can use AI for is to transcribe a recording either during the meeting or after of what you guys talked about. So you can ask your client permission, hey, during this meeting, is it okay if I record our conversation? And here's why, because it allows me to make sure that I'm getting accurate notes of everything we talked about. And it allows me to create a summary of this meeting that I'm going to send to you. Now, some people use services. There's services like Firefly. There's lots of different services where they will actually like monitor a Zoom call or monitor a Teams call. And those are cool. I'm pretty basic in how I look at it and say, I want to A, minimize how many different places I'm going. And B, I want to control a little bit of what the output is. And so I do it a different way. I do it just using ChatGPT, and I'll show you how I do that. So that can help you deliver better customer service. When we look at scaling your expertise without adding staff, there's a lot that can be done through your new assistant, which is your AI system. And I need you to start thinking of AI like your assistant, because there's a lot of things that you can do in collaborating with that assistant to help you in growing your business, which will free up time for higher value work. All right. So there's 4 key platforms I'm going to talk about today. ChatGPT, which is what most of us are familiar with. It's actually owned by a parent company called OpenAI. So if you hear the word OpenAI or the name OpenAI, they're referring to ChatGPT. That's just the parent company that owns and operates ChatGPT. Then there's Claude. Claude is a completely separate company that is owned by Claude's not the company. Claude is the platform. So you're going to log into Claude. Claude is owned by a company called Anthropic. So if you hear the word Anthropic, they're talking about Claude. Most people don't talk about Anthropic, but that is the name of the parent company. The third one is Grok. And I'm going to go into more detail in all 4 of these, but the third one is Grok, G-R-O-K. Grok is actually been created by Elon Musk as part of his X platform. When I say X, I'm talking about the old Twitter platform. And so Grok gives you access to a platform that was created by Elon Musk that has a lot of different use cases. And I'll explain to you in the next couple of minutes what the use cases are of how I use Grok. The final platform I'm going to talk about today is called Notebook LM. Notebook LM is created by Google. So Google has Gemini. There's lots of other things you may have heard about, like Copilot, Apple Intelligence. I'm not going to get into any of that stuff. I'm going to focus today because this is already a lot for you to digest in an hour. But I'm going to focus on these 4 platforms, how and when I use them, and what recommendations I have for how and when you should use them. Okay, so I'm going to dive in now into each of these platforms. So we're going to cover the pros and cons of these platforms. I'm going to go slow. I'm going to have time for questions. If you want to jump in, ask your questions on chat. If I want more clarification, I may have you unmute and talk me through what your questions are. But I'm going to talk through the pros and cons of each platform to help you understand at least how I pick the right tool for the task. So the first one we're going to start with is ChatGPT. Before I go into each of these things, I want to give you just my big picture thought about ChatGPT. They are the biggest. They are the most active users, and they are the furthest advanced of everybody. It doesn't make them the best, okay? Most people spend, even people like me, who I feel like I'm fairly advanced on this, I spend most of my time in ChatGPT. The other 3 platforms I use for specific purposes, but ChatGPT I use as my search engine. I don't Google anything anymore. Like I don't. I go to ChatGPT. If there's something I want to search, I start in ChatGPT and I ask it a question. Now, one of the things I say a lot to ChatGPT is cite your sources. It's one of the takeaways I want you to write down for today. Cite your sources. If you ask it a question, do not trust the answer. I'm going to talk a little bit later on this, so I got a slide about it later. But I think of AI as a super smart, recently graduated college student, recent college graduate who was magna cum laude, top of their class at MIT, brilliant, super smarter than I am, but I know more about my business than they do. And you have to think about AI like that. You cannot take AI at face value saying, oh my gosh, it's smarter than I am. It may be smarter than you are in a lot of ways, but it doesn't know you, and it doesn't know your business. You would never allow an intern, no matter how smart they are, no matter what their grades were in college, to come into your business and tell you what to do. You would tell the intern, hey, go research this project and bring it back to me. As a matter of fact, tell me how you come up with that conclusion. Give me more details on what made you think that was a good idea. And as you're doing that, you're thinking about it that way, you're going to treat AI the same way. You're going to treat it like a starting point, not an ending point. So every time I want to know something, I've stopped going to Google. I go to ChatGPT. I don't care if it's, hey, I'm looking for a good recipe for, making filet mignon, and I want something that is, based on, I don't know, whatever. And I can give it some ideas, and you can find some great recipes by Googling that. But I find better solutions using AI and going through ChatGPT. ChatGPT is super literal. It is very, very smart, but it lacks some of the soft skills, conversational skills. And you say, John, who cares? Like it's a computer. But there's value in soft skills, and Claude has all the soft skills that ChatGPT does not. So ChatGPT is great at creating very, very structured content. Great at answering very, very specific questions with literal bullet point answers. But here's a really important secret. It depends on which model of ChatGPT you're asking. So you have a little drop-down box depending upon whether you have the free or the paid version. And this is where it gets confusing, and I'm only going to give you the high level today. But you might say, oh, John, I've tried that. And it just doesn't work. I'm gonna give you an example before we finish about a loan scenario example where I asked one version of ChatGPT and it gave me an answer that said, oh, well, go with option A, that's better. And then I asked a different version and it gave me a different answer. And you have to understand that this is the most complicated part right now of AI, is which platform do I ask? How do I ask the question? That's called your prompt. And most importantly, which version of the AI am I talking to? They have different names. It's hard to make sense of it. It's the thing that's evolving so much. And so my best encouragement is if you don't get the answer that makes sense, ask a different version. Think of having multiple interns. And hey, this intern's super smart, but that's not their area of expertise. You might have an intern that's super creative, but not very analytical. You might have the other intern that's super analytical, but not very creative. And so you have to start recognizing there's differences and find the one that works for you for the work that you do. So you don't have to keep iterating every time, but it is a challenge. And I'm not going to give you a simple answer saying, go here and use this. I'm going to give you some basic ideas and some thoughts on when to use each one. ChatGPT has a very cool feature called Canvas. I'm going to show you Canvas here in a second. Now, Canvas, I do not believe is available on the free version. In a minute, I'm going to talk about the cost structure, but I'll say right now, I believe $20 a month for the value that you get out of this system is worth it. Okay. I believe that you get a lot of features you didn't know you were missing by getting the paid version. So I'm a huge fan of paying the 20 bucks a month. Okay. It's not a lot of money. I'm pretty sure most of us can afford the $20 a month, and you get huge value. And even if you don't do anything more than what you could have done on the free version, I think all of us as business people hate when people call us over and over again asking us questions and never actually do business with us. We never get paid. Don't you hate that client that calls you all the time, asks you questions over and over again, but never uses you? Well, that's kind of what we're doing to AI. We're asking questions over and over again. Somebody spent a lot of money creating this. Shouldn't we reward them for the work that they've done? I'm a fan of paying for it. It's not a lot of money. You do get more features you didn't even know you were missing, and Canvas is one of those features. So you have multiple pricing tiers within ChatGPT. I'll explain those in a couple of minutes. What I like about ChatGPT is it's very good for research and for first drafts. So I'm going to dive in and show you some things about ChatGPT that if you didn't know, you'll want to pay attention to. Remember, if you have questions, post them into chat. Kathleen said a minute ago, great about Canvas. So let's dive in right now. And let me slide this over right here. Okay. So if somebody can either give me a thumbs up if you're on camera or put in chat that you can see my ChatGPT screen. Can you guys see that? Perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right. So I'm simply going to start a new chat. What you notice up here on the top left is all of the different models. So as you're looking at the different models, this is where I'm saying you have different ways to talk to the system. These are all of your different interns. So I've got 4.0, I've got 4.0 with scheduled tasks, I've got 0.1, 0.3, 0.3 mini, I've got more models here, 0.4 mini, 0.4. You're like, oh my God, John, this is overwhelming. I don't know which one to use. Well, it simplifies it. It says, you know what, 4.0, pretty much great for most questions. Just stick with it. 4.0 is the way to go, okay? What I'll show you in a minute is 0.1. 0.1, if you were on the free version, you do not have access to 0.1. It is mind-blowing the difference between 4.0 and 0.1. But you can only use 0.1 a little bit, even when you're on the $20 a month version. Okay? But what I want to show you is a simple prompt that says, help me create an email to a self-employed buyer who wants to understand how a bank statement loan works.
Like when you went from the A part to
All right, hold on one second. I'm checking my comments here really quickly. And somebody said, can I mute? Oh, someone needs to. Yes, you'll get a recording of the call. Is there somebody with background? Let me mute everybody. Hold on. Participants.
What if it was a real
audio? Hold on, people. People mute all.
So I feel like sections.
I'm muting everybody. Is that better? You can still hear me. It didn't mute me. Beautiful. All right. So it created a great email. I can't change this. Like I have to copy and paste to somewhere else if I want to make changes, or I have to go in and say, hey, could you change this? And say, hey, could you do X, Y, and Z? But now I'm going to say, let's edit this in Canvas. If you haven't seen Canvas before, this is awesome. It does the same thing, except it created it as a separate window. So now on the left side, I'm still talking to ChatGPT. I can ask it questions. We can discuss it. So think about this like you're collaborating your intern. You're clobbering your intern, beating him up. No, collaborating with your intern. And you're saying, okay, so we're creating this document together. Here's the document in the middle of the page that we are both editing. And here's our communication back and forth. And so, for example, I could say, you know what? Instead of using tax returns, we'll use 12 to 24 months of bank statements, but I don't like that. So I'm just going to jump right in here myself and delete the 12 too, because I just want it to be 24 months because it's an actual editable document. Okay. And then I'm going to say, I'm a realtor. I don't really understand the rules on this. And John's busy right now. And so I'm just going to ask, like, what's the typical minimum credit score for these loans? If you don't see it, I'm typing on the left side. So I'm talking to my intern. It's not going to change anything in the canvas. It's simply going to answer the question. Here's a typical breakdown. It's given me some information, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, I love that. So I'm going to say, love this. Please add it to our email. So I've been talking to my intern. We've been strategizing on stuff. And then I'm like, this sounds great. So can you make a change to our document? And it's like, okay, cool. And so it's now rewriting the document in the middle of the page. You should never open up a Word document again if you are going to create something that needs versions. Now, don't use this to write a simple email. Like when your client emails you saying, hey, when can we meet to go view the property at 123 Main Street? Don't jump into ChatGPT to say, how should I respond to this? Just respond to this stupid email. Would you call your intern and say, help me figure out how to respond to this email? You would not. You just respond to the email. But now I'm talking to my intern over here on the left and I'm saying, hey, I love this. Add it to our email. It says, great. I've added this. Let me know if you want any further adjustments. And it's added that. So I can now say, I don't like the word minimum credit score retirements because I don't really know. So I'm going to say potential. So I'm editing the exact same document that ChatGPT is editing. This works for spreadsheets. It can create a spreadsheet for you. If you're a coder, you can write code and it can do coding for you and you can edit it together. I think Canvas is a game changer I'm using it for writing blogs. So I'm creating a lot of blog posts right now. I talk about, hey, I can do a loan for people buying investment properties and I don't care about their income. All I care about is the rental income on the property. And people say, well, John, send me some information on that. Oh, no, I don't have any information. I know. I'm going to create a series of blog posts about it. I'm going to do some videos. I'm going to create a series of blog posts. Well, I'm using ChatGPT to help me edit those blog posts. And what you'll notice is ChatGPT is being very literal in how it's answering the question, like very, very bullet points, not a lot of soft skill in there. I'll show you in a minute how this looks very, very different on Claude. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to post into chat. Let's see if I have anything on chats. Nope, we are good. Perfect. All right. So those are the pros of ChatGPT. What are the cons? It can be really formal and rigid in tone. It uses a lot of cliche phrases. If you haven't noticed, ChatGPT loves to say, I hope this email finds you well. Okay. I was talking to somebody earlier today and I said that to him and he's like, John, I actually say that a lot in my emails. I'm like, you might want to stop ChatGPT says it because it has researched a lot of emails, and it sees that as a common introduction to an email. So it uses it all the time. So what you used to think was a nice way to start an email, and a lot of people did, that's why ChatGPT is using it. But now it's become the go-to statement. And now if you use it, you sound like people suspect that you didn't really write this. So just be aware there are common phrases that come up. It's also, if you're in the free version, the memory is limited and your usage is throttled, meaning how much you can use ChatGPT is throttled back, is limited. And they'll say, hey, we're busy, try back again later. You used up your limit of how much you can talk to us, your intern. Okay, that's it on ChatGPT for now. I'm going to talk about Claude. Claude is your friendly intern, is your intern that's going to help you explain things in plain language. Like ChatGPT, super smart, but too smart for their own good and doesn't really know how to relate to you. Claude is your intern, is your friend, is your partner that's relatable, that you can have a casual conversation with, and they understand the question you're really asking, even when you didn't ask it. So Claude will say, hey, I see that you're asking me this, but I feel like you really want me to go down these directions. Do you want me to help you with those other things too? So Claude is more thoughtful. Doesn't make it better, doesn't make it worse, but I would encourage you to try it. It's a free version. You're limited on how much you can use it if it's on the free version, but try it. I'm not telling you it's a better plan or better way than ChatGPT. I'm telling you it communicates in a different method. I personally find that I use Claude as my final polish, especially on some of the blog posts that I'm writing. So I'm a fan of what I call the 80-15-5 approach. So you noticed when I did that email with ChatGPT, I told it what I wanted and I let it do 80% of the work. Some people consider that 100% done. That's not a good idea. Don't let the inmates run the asylum. Don't let the AI be the final voice of what you're putting out there. So instead, you get it 80% of the way done. And you noticed I made some changes. I edited some things myself. I asked it some questions. I told it to adjust some things. And now that's the 15% that I'm putting in. And then I'm asking it to do a final draft based on my revisions. Well, I'm giving that final draft to Claude. And just find that Claude, depending upon what I'm doing, might make it a little, might take the edges off a little bit, might make it a little bit nicer sounding. That depends on what you're doing. Sometimes you want edge. So you might say, I didn't like the Claude version. I'll stick with the ChatGPT. Personally, I just find that Claude is really good for the finishing product, but I often will start with ChatGPT, okay? More natural conversation, handles complex, nuanced tasks, explains the why behind the answers. There's actually a version of the Claude that you are saying, I want the educational tone. I want you to educate me on this. Okay, so I'm going to give you a demonstration of Claude. As a matter of fact, I used Claude today. Hold on, let's go back here. Oh, well, I'm just going to open up a new tab and drag it over. I already have 42 tabs open. What's another tab? All right. So I'm logging into Claude. Good morning, John. See, Claude's really nice. Like, it just starts with good morning. Does ChatGPT ever just start with saying good morning, John? It doesn't. So I'm just saying, Claude's much nicer. All right. So I'm going to show you over here. This is a chat that I was doing this morning. Scroll all the way to the top. And I simply said to Claude, hey, I'm doing a presentation to realtors and business people about AI in their business, focusing on these 4 platforms. I did a version of this training for some business people. I hosted another meeting this morning and I wasn't as structured, but it was kind of my final, taught this to them and I recorded it and they gave me some feedback. And so I actually turned that meeting this morning into a transcript and I gave Claude the transcript. So here is a transcript of everything that I said during the hour meeting this morning. And I said, hey, I gave a version of this training this morning, and here's a transcript. Using the overview I just gave you and the transcript, I want you to help me with the presentation content. Before we get started, do you understand what I'm asking of you? Another one of my favorite phrases. Do you get what I'm asking of you? Okay, think about the intern. They're super smart, but they don't know your business. So I just gave it, this is called a prompt. I prompted it. People put too much energy behind, oh my gosh, you got to make the prompt perfect. I don't believe that at all. I just think you got to ask the system, hey, do you get what I'm asking of you? And if they tell me something that's off base, then I know my prompt wasn't good enough. And I'm going to say, no, actually, I meant this. Now do you understand what I'm asking of you? And so here's what Claude said. It said, yeah, I understand what you're trying to do. You want to develop a presentation about these 4 things targeted at realtors and business people, providing the source material. Now, that is where ChatGPT would have ended. ChatGPT would have said, yeah, I get it. That's exactly what I want to do. And I'd say, yes, thank you. Claude, being sensitive and caring and a listener, Claude's a great listener. Claude says, hey, here's some things I noticed. You've got some extensive hands-on experience. You take a practical approach. You emphasize business applications, et cetera, et cetera. Do you want me to help you? How do you want me to help you most? Do you want me to help you structure the presentation, or do you want me to focus on specific aspects or create example demonstrations, or do you want me to develop visual aids and slides? Like, what do you want to tackle first? Do you see how it went way deeper than what I asked? Like, Claude cares about me. I love Claude. Claude loves me. No, but Claude takes a different way of thinking about stuff that doesn't make it better or worse than ChatGPT, but ChatGPT would have stopped right here with saying, yeah, I get it. This is what you would have gotten from ChatGPT. And then I would have asked it a question further, and it would have given me great answers. Claude is thinking and giving me ideas of where I should go with my question even before I ask the question. So I mean, just what I did this morning, I said, why use AI in your business? And it gave me like way too much. And I'm like, no, I want simple bullet points. So I revise, we iterate what we got back. And so I'm like, no, do me a favor, put this into some simple bullet points I can put in PowerPoint. Perfect. So it gave me like 412 bullet points. Okay, not that many. And I'm like, dude, that's too much. Like, I can't put that on a PowerPoint slide. So I'm like, hey, can you condense them into the top 5 phrases or short sentences that best capture the overall best answers? Feel free to combine some of your bullet points into one phrase or short sentence if it makes sense. And boom, these are the 5 that you guys just heard me talk about 10 minutes ago. So in a 2-minute conversation, it knows me because I gave it a transcript of me talking about this topic. So you see how I'm making AI see me and talk using my voice. Okay, now that may or may not be applicable to you, but I'm just giving you an example of how to use it and how Claude thinks differently than ChatGPT. So maybe a good thing, may not be a good thing for you. That's really up to you to play with and decide. But I like Claude a lot for its thoughtfulness and for its way that it explains things in more detail. And it's, again, it just feels more caring in its answers. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Ask me questions in chat if you have any about Claude. The cons of Claude, there's almost no real-time information. Claude will, all AI systems, all large language models is what these are called, have a history of how much information they have. And back in the beginning, when this came out 1.5 2 years ago, you had like data that was 2 years older than current time. So we all remember when that first came out, and it's like, oh my gosh, don't ask ChatGPT, anything that's happened in the last 1.5 years because it doesn't know. Well, that problem is gone. But the most current information, what happened this morning, ChatGPT kind of can figure out by searching the internet and figuring it out, but only if people are writing about it online. Claude doesn't have that good of real-time context or real-time information. So just be aware of that. When I talked about Grok, Grok is my tool when I want real-time information. Okay. And it can be overly cautious in its responses. Claude was created with safety as being the #1 goal. And so it's very conservative, very safe in its answers. And so it can be overly cautious sometimes. All right. Do you have any questions about anything I've covered so far, Claude or ChatGPT? All right. Perfect. Am I going too fast? I don't want to cover too much and overwhelm you. Is this feeling okay? Perfect. All right. Thank you, Kathleen, for responding. You're the only one with a camera on that's actually nodding. So, Penny, I think you're asleep. I'm just kidding. All right. Okay, so Grok. What is Grok? Grok was created by Elon Musk. So he took people from Twitter and X, and he took people from engineers from Tesla and brought them together, and they created his own AI platform called Grok. Grok is, I don't use Grok a lot. It might be amazing, but I kind of got everything I need in ChatGPT and Claude. I don't use Grok for almost anything except real-time information. If I want to know why the stock market is up or down this morning, actually, if I even want to know what the stock market is doing this morning, if I ask Claude, it's probably going to say, I don't know. If I ask ChatGPT, it's going to say it's up or it's down and give me a little bit of information. If I ask if I ask Grok, it's looking at all of the Twitter X posts that are happening in real time. And it will give me not only links to websites and articles about what I'm asking, it'll answer the question. It'll give me links to website and articles that I'm asking about. But more importantly, it gives me data from posts that have been posted recently or in the past from the X platform. Because Elon Musk created Grok, he tied it to the X database. Every public post in X is part of Grok's research data, which means in Grok, I can say, by the way, anybody ever feel what you think was an earthquake and you go to Google and say, did I just feel an earthquake? And you get nothing. And then you try like 20 minutes later and finally get the US Geological Survey site saying something and it takes forever, okay? That's kind of the concept of what I'm talking about here. You go on to ChatGPT and say, did I just feel an earthquake in Sacramento, California? Maybe it'll tell you, maybe it won't. You go on to Grok, it will tell you immediately because everybody's posting about it on social media. And so many people are posting on X about real-time information that the knowledge you get is game-changing. And I use Grok, for example, tomorrow. First Friday of every month is the jobs report. Jobs is the number one thing that is driving interest rates. I won't name the name, but there is somebody on here who actually works for Summit Funding's capital markets department, and he is joining us, kind of listening in on this stuff. And so he's in charge of setting the rates. So if you want lower rates, just comment, whoever you are, can you make the rates go down today? Just kidding. I'm only kidding about the last part. He doesn't control them. But the number one thing that's driving interest rates right now is the Fed and inflation and unemployment. And the biggest one right now is unemployment. And the number one unemployment report that everybody cares about is the non-farm payroll report that comes out the first Friday of every month. So tomorrow, I'm going to do my live stream video, and I'm going to talk about the report that came out tomorrow morning. Well, the first place I'm going to go for feedback is Grok. Now, I've got other sites that I look at, but I'm going to go to Grok, and I'm going to say, hey, tell me everything you know about the non-farm payroll report this morning, specifically regarding how it will impact real estate and mortgage rates in particular, and let it go. And then maybe an hour later, I'll try it again because it's getting real-time data updated still on conversations that people are having. So I love Grok for that reason. And I will quickly give you a demo of Grok. Grok is one that I always go to the wrong place to get in there. I think you have to go to XAI. If you Google Grok, it's grok.ai. Nope. See, I always go to the wrong place. It's not grok.ai. All right. So Grok login. Yep, it's x.ai. All right. So I'll go here and it says, we're excited to announce Grok. Everybody can have it. It's free now. By the way, you used to have to pay for it. As long as you have an X login, as long as you have as a matter of fact, you don't even have to have a login because I'm not signed in right now. But I'm going to say, what is happening this morning with the stock market? Oh, cool. Let's just sign in. Fine. Come on. Do I have to tell everybody what year I'm born? All right. I'm lying. I'm really not this old. Okay. All right. Cool. So this morning, the stock market is showing mixed signals, yada, yada, yada. Here are articles that have come out about the stock market. This is where it's getting all of its information from, and it's giving me a lot of sources, totally different than what ChatGPT or Claude would have given me. And so I've got all of these articles. So I've got 25 web pages that it gave me a summary, pretty simple summary. And then it gave me 14 posts. So I can click here and I can see 14 posts that are all telling me literally from today what's happening with the stock market. And I can click on any one of these posts and it takes me directly to that post. So I can see what's happening, what they posted. I can see any comments if people replied to it and did comments. So I've got a lot of really, really good data from Grok. This is the only thing I use Grok for. But can you see the huge difference? I'm going to take this same phrase and we're going to plug it into Claude. And I'm simply going to ask Claude, and it says, I don't know. I don't know. You get it? Like Claude can't tell me a thing about what's happening today. I'm going to plug the same thing into ChatGPT. And it's going to look on the internet. It's going to pull up some websites. It just answered the question. Like it just gave me, well, here you go, John. Like really literal information. I have 3 sources. There's some other ones here, but it's not as, do you see how the difference in Grok, like it's giving me way more context to questions I want answers to now. Okay. The tragedy that happened last month with the fires in Los Angeles. I was trying to figure out what was going on, and the news is only saying so much. And so I went on to Grok, and it gave me a plethora of information. You can imagine how much information is being traded on social media about that. And so that's another example of how Grok can be helpful. So that is the only reason I use Grok, but it is a night and day difference compared to all of the other tools when it comes to real-time information. Okay. Negative, I don't know, limited usefulness, in my opinion, beyond real-time info, requires an X account, or at least you have to put in your birth date or lie about it like I did. And it's less refined than other platforms. I think Grok is going to grow. I think that there's a lot of reasons I'm not going to bore you with, but I think Grok is the tortoise that might end up winning this race. So we'll have to see. All right. Notebook LM. This is the last thing I want to talk about. We spent 40 minutes. I've covered a lot. Your head is probably exploding. Okay. This is the system, the guy who works at my corporate office. This is the one that I used to wow him yesterday because I found out some information that nobody else knew. I got some advanced information that he didn't know, and he's super smart. Notebook LM. Has anybody used Notebook LM? Raise your hand, put in the chat. Tell me if you've ever used Notebook LM or heard of it. Nobody? All right. Notebook LM is a system created by Google. And it is all about research. And it is about researching information that you gave it. So you have to have a source of the information. Now, the great thing is Notebook LM does not hallucinate. Hallucinations are when the AI system gets something wrong. It makes it up. Give you a great example of a hallucination. Last week, I was fighting a guideline with underwriting, and I was trying to figure out if I was right or wrong. And so I asked ChatGPT, hey, is this guideline true? And ChatGPT said, yes, it is true. You can do what you're trying to do. I'm like, oh my God, I knew I was right, but obviously I can't. My intern told me it was true. I can't take that to underwriting and say, hey, my intern told me this was true. So I said, cite your sources. One of my other favorite phrases, cite your sources. And so I typed in, cite your sources. And it immediately said, upon further analysis, this guideline is not true. I apologize for making that mistake. Here's all my sources that explain why it's not true. And I'm like, oh my God, I lost my case already. You got my hopes up telling me that I was right. And the truth is it's like a bad kid in school. Like you told me what I wanted to hear. And then when I asked you to cite your sources, you finally said, oh, you caught me. I was wrong. I gave you a completely wrong answer. Here's the right answer. And here's the sources to prove it. So just be cautious. That doesn't make the system bad, but hallucinations are real. So dig deeper if it's something you're trying to understand and say, prove it, cite your sources, tell me more, explain to me how you got that analysis, how you came up with that information. So Notebook LM doesn't have this problem because it doesn't use anything except the data you gave it. Notebook LM, I actually listened to a podcast last week from one of the creators of Notebook LM. Notebook LM, as he defined it, is simply a way for you to talk to your data. That's it. Talk to your data. So if you are volunteering as a member of your school site council, you've had kids in school, site council basically is just a group of parents who help make decisions about the school. And they send you a packet of 42 pages of things that you got to go through. Scan that and stick it in a Notebook LM. It will give you a summary of the entire packet. You can ask it questions about the packet. You can have discussions about it. As a matter of fact, you can have it create a podcast for you about the packet that in less than 15 minutes will tell you the high-level overview of everything that was included in the packet. So it is about researching data. Now, I love Notebook LM. I use it very rarely. There's a couple of very, very specific times that I use Notebook LM. So let's bring up Notebook LM. Notebook LM, there is no paid version of it. It's only the free version. If you are a Google Suite user, meaning your company has Google and all the Google products and your company email is a Google email, you have an advanced version of Notebook LM. My company is a Microsoft company. I feel like it's like the Coke Wars versus the Pepsi Wars. So we're a Microsoft company, so I don't have the advanced version and you can't pay for it right now. So you just go to notebooklm.google.com. Okay, just Google Notebook LM, you'll get there. Really, really simple. CalHFA, as you all know if you're realtors in the room, is the state agency that provides down payment assistance in the state of California, one of the biggest down payment assistance programs. I try and stay ahead of the curve in knowledge about CalHFA. So CalHFA, every month or two, does a board meeting. And in the board meeting, they're talking about the big picture of what's going on and what their plans are and what they're going to do. And for the last 2 years, I have spent 1 to 3 hours a month listening to their board meetings so that I know what's happening because I want to be in the know. Nobody else does. Okay. So this is how I stay ahead of the curve. But that's a lot of time that I'm wasting. So instead, what I did is every time they have a board meeting, I simply take the YouTube link of their board meeting and upload it here. So I just add a source and I say I want to add a YouTube link. And I add the YouTube link of the board meeting. Okay. They actually have downloads of their board packet, like the agenda and all that stuff. And this most recent board meeting, I downloaded the agenda packet as well. And so I now, if you notice right here in the middle, it says, hey, I'm talking to 9 different sources because I have 9 sources on the left that are all selected. But I can choose to say, you know what? I only want you to answer my questions based upon the January 28th information. So now when I ask it a question, it's only looking at these 2 documents. So I can say, hey, give me a briefing document. Tell me what I need to know about this exact board meeting. And it's creating it over here on the right. And so it is generating a note and it's done. And so this note I just clicked in, here's a briefing document that briefs me on all of what is going on. And it's telling me about all of the things that they have discussed. And I can scan this really quickly and I can say, okay, ADUs. They're talking a lot about ADUs. I want to know more about ADUs. So I can go over here and I can say, tell me more about what they are thinking regarding ADUs. And now it's analyzing just these 2 board meetings. And it says, well, here's the deal. They're considering construction of ADUs as part of rebuilding efforts in Los Angeles with the goal of building faster and getting folks into housing more quickly. They had done ADU grants. Somebody called attention to public comments, etc. And there's some fraud issues. Okay, wait, I don't understand this. I can click right here because hey, that didn't really make sense. I don't trust what they're telling me is accurate. I didn't feel like that was true. So I can click right here and it will take me to the spot in the source document where they discussed it. So I'm now looking at the transcript and I can literally read here. There's been a focus on construction of ADUs, trying to figure out how to get people into homes quicker. And I can read through and say, oh, that's right. Or, the system kind of misunderstood that, but now I've got a better feel. You can take 1,000 pages of a document and have it analyze it for you. And then you can ask questions of it and find it in 1,000 pages of the document. I'm in the process of creating one that will help me research loan guidelines, where I'm going to have all of the loan guidelines for all the different, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And now I can ask it questions. And I'm not sure how good it's going to be because there's a lot of nuances in there, but it's a test case that I feel like is going to be very valuable. So I was able to go in here and I was able to find out about a new program that they are launching that is coming out on March the 3rd. And nobody knows about it yet because they talked about it back on their January 28th board meeting. And I did the overview of that board meeting and it talked about a new program. And I asked it to give me more information about that new program. And it gave me a complete breakdown of what the new program was and how it worked and what the plan was, or not a complete, but as much as we had. And then I went ahead and forwarded that to my guy at my corporate office saying, hey, this is coming and I want to make sure we get it launched on time. Do you know anything about it? Or can we make sure that we're prepared to launch this when it comes out? I'm giving them information before Cal Haffa ever gave it to them. My point is it's allowing me to stay ahead of the curve by using AI to help me. Notebook LM has so many uses. I'm just giving you a couple of simple examples, but Notebook LM, you are telling it what to use as your source documents. Okay, you could theoretically upload the entire CC&R packet and all of the disclosures on a property, and then ask it to give you an overview, and then ask it some questions, and then click on it to have it find you the spot in there that talks about this or that. This will not get you out of legal trouble if you're wrong. Okay, but it will get you to find the right spot in the document way faster than reading it yourself. Okay, Kathleen said, so do we get up-to-date info from Grok and then take that over to Notebook LM for summaries? Theoretically, yes. You just have to export it into something that you can import into into Notebook LM. So you can create a document out of Grok with real current information, and then take that in Notebook LM and have Notebook LM analyze that for you. Absolutely. You can also, as I said earlier, is do an audio overview. So you can have it basically uses AI to create a podcast. This podcast, you could really use this as a podcast you use for marketing by putting in all the information about a certain program or something, and then having a podcast. And it's a male and a female podcast host who are talking to each other about the topic. And they're giving you an overview of what the topic is. And when you create that podcast, you can give it some hints, and you can say, hey, this is really dumb this down to a 5th grade level as you explain how this works. And it just created a 15-minute podcast about these two topics, and I can download it. I can play it back right here. Like, there's lots of things that we're not going to get into all of that. I'm just giving you guys a quick flavor of this. Yes, you guys will get the recording. I will make sure that I send out the recording for sure. Angelique says she used ChatGPT for marketing letters to homeowners. Yes, but I would run it through Claude to see if Claude can give you a better version. You're trying to get homeowners to respond emotionally in a lot of ways. And so I think Claude's just better at emotional stuff. So I would definitely try Claude. All right, let's go back here really quickly. We got less than 10 minutes left. Notebook LM is limited. It only analyzes what you've uploaded. There's a learning curve. Like, that isn't very intuitive. You got to figure out what I'm uploading. What does the left screen, the middle screen, and the right screen work? And how do I use all of that stuff? And there are better features that are reserved for Google Suite users. All right. Should you pay or go free? Pay. Okay. I pay $80 a month for ChatGPT. I pay a normal subscription for a $20 a month seat. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go up one page. Okay. So, and then I have a team platform. So it's $30 a month for the team tier. I use the team platform because ChatGPT tells me it keeps my information private. I don't know if it really does, but it says it won't share that information outside of my team. So I pay for 2 seats, one for me and one for the rest of the team, and that's another $60 a month. So that is what I pay. I'm contemplating signing up for the $199 Pro tier, and I'll show you in a minute why, but it gives you the reasoning model, unlimited use. Pretty awesome. Claude, you can use free, but you get throttled a lot, meaning they slow down how much you can use it. And so it's 20 bucks a month. I pay the 20 bucks a month for Claude. I want to talk about analysis versus reasoning. Every AI system that we've just talked about, for the most part, what you've used is called analysis. It takes your question and it predicts the next logical word. And it says, what's the meaning of life? And well, the first logical word is the meaning of life is to, and it's just, what's the next right word? Like it's just putting words together is that's why it's called a large language model. It has lots of sentences, lots of content, and it's just figuring out the next word. Reasoning takes that and turns it upside down. Reasoning thinks about your question, analyzes your question, looks at it in steps. And I want to give you an example of what that is, okay? So I had a couple of CPAs that registered to come. If any of them came, you can tell me where I'm wrong on all of this. But I asked ChatGPT about, I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. All right, so analysis output. So I simply said, hey, I want you to create an analysis because I got a client who's thinking about whether he should file his taxes showing more in profit or do a bank statement loan and pay more in interest. What's smarter? Should I file my taxes and pay more to the IRS in profit? Or should I keep my profit low and pay more in interest by taking a bank statement loan? And so I basically outlined a scenario. So, hey, on a $500,000 loan, option one is they show $40,000 in profit. That's their normal profit, but they won't qualify for a mortgage. So they're going to get an 8% interest rate. Tell me, what is the taxes on that 40 grand plus the extra interest over 5 years? Compared with if they showed 100,000 in profit and they got a rate of 6.75. Okay. And so I'm telling it what to do. Calculate the tax liability. And I actually got this whole thing from Claude. So I told Claude, hey, I want to create a prompt comparing these two scenarios. And it gave me everything I needed. So now the analysis simply said, okay, cool. I'm just going to run it. This is all it did. It ran an analysis and it gave me a table that said, here is for the bank statement loan, here's for the conventional loan. And in the end, it simply said, I presented the scenarios and the net difference in cost is about 20 grand in favor of the conventional loan. So this says, don't do the bank statement loan, file your taxes higher, pay the extra taxes, you're better off. And I'm like, well, dude, did you take into account mortgage interest? Oh, sorry, I didn't. Cool. I updated it, but it's still in favor of the conventional loan. Okay, all right. That's the analysis model. I asked the reasoning model. Reasoning is the O1 model. You have to pay to get this. And I said the exact same thing to the reasoning model, except I added right here, make sure you take into account the additional mortgage interest. Okay, it's the only thing I added on this one, and the other one I added as well. Here's what reasoning did. It spent 2 minutes thinking about this. And it said, well, I've evaluated different loan scenarios. And I'm going to estimate the tax implications. I'm laying out the standard deduction for 2023 and applying it to the $40,000. I'm calculating the tax input, and it's giving me the math of where it got it. I'm coming up with the mortgage payments. I'm calculating the mortgage payments. I'm analyzing the interest payments. I'm simplifying the total interest. Estimating interest, mapping out total interest, graphing the decline, fine-tuning, calculating the interest, mapping out the total cost, clarifying tax implications, confirming the steps, highlighting key factors. Below is a step-by-step comparison of the options. Okay, so here's what it went through. Now, I'm not going to spend the whole time reading through this, but it does tell you, hey, this includes self-employment tax, state tax, etc. Tax brackets can change. So it's thinking a lot more, thinking a lot. And it went into grave detail. And you might not care about all this detail. And it's saying, hey, here's your breakdown on your tax brackets. My CPAs in the room will like this. Like, it's like, hey, here's your tax at each bracket. Here's your Schedule C at 40 grand, and here's at 100. Here's your mortgage interest, and here's how I calculated it. Like, walking me through its thinking step by step. Here's the monthly payment difference. Here's the total cost. Here's the net difference. Here's your bottom line. The bottom line is scenario one at the 8% interest rate is going to cost you $210,000. You're going to spend on the conventional loan at a 6.75% interest rate. You're going to spend $236,000. That's actually the answer I expected. I've done this math. You are way smarter, by the way. This is the paid political announcement for why you should use me for your mortgage guy when you send your clients. Like most loan officers or even borrowers, like, I don't want 8%, I'll take 6.75. You're being silly. You're paying the IRS way more money than you need to pay them. And in the long run, you are way better off using a bank statement loan. And so very simply, hey, the difference is $26,000 in favor of scenario one, which is the lower declared income but higher interest rate when only looking at federal income tax and mortgage interest. And guess what? When you look at state income tax and self-employment tax, it makes it even smarter for you to not file with higher taxable income. Okay, so this output is totally different because reasoning thinks through all of the steps. You didn't need all of that. You just needed to know you got the right answer. I got the wrong answer when I used the standard 4.0 model, the analysis model, the base model. I got the right answer, a completely different answer using reasoning. So you have to be very careful about math. How did you get the analysis portion of chat? So Kathleen's asking, do you have to pay to get the analysis? You have to be a paid subscriber to get the option to use O1, which is advanced reasoning. Okay, so that's what I use as O1. But you can only use it so much unless you're paying $200. So the more I'm using this, the more I'm thinking, man, I just need to pay the $200 and hire a super, super smart intern instead of, I mean, look, I'm hiring somebody, right? $200 a month is not a lot to hire an assistant that is 10 times smarter than I am in running those numbers and can do it very, very quickly versus 4.0 is what great for most questions, but that gave me the wrong answer. It gave me a very simple answer and it was wrong. So I can switch between, am I chatting with 4.0 or am I chatting with O1? Okay, so there's a lot that we covered. We are out of time. I don't think there's really anything else. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to quickly remind you of my best practices. Treat it like a smart intern. Verify the outputs. Follow the 80-15-5 rule. Let AI do the 80%. You do the 15%, and then let it do the final 5. Always ask it to cite its sources. Use the tool for its strength. So know what tool works. Just play with it a little bit. Start small, scale what works. Most importantly, I'm a firm believer in saying please and thank you. So if I like something that it said, I will say thank you. There's only one reason why, because at some point, the machines are taking over the world, and those of us who are nice to the machines will be eaten last. Okay, so that is the only reason why I'm nice to it. I think it's also just polite. All right, use cases, I'm not going to go into all of that. Questions. So I will stop my sharing, but I am going to open it up. If anybody has a question, feel free to either unmute yourself or post in chat. And I'd love to hear you just post in chat kind of what was your most enlightening piece of the presentation today. Otherwise, guys, I really, really appreciate you joining me. I'll be doing this every single month, first Thursday of the month. I'll dive into more details on different topics. We'll talk about prompts and how to use prompts and how to use different models and just kind of show you more stuff that can help you to drive your business. Most importantly, I don't get paid for doing this. I get paid for doing mortgages. So in response for all of this great information I'm giving you, all I ask for is every mortgage that you ever need help with that you send to me. That's not a lot to ask for. Okay. All right, gang. I really appreciate it. Kathleen, you have a question?
Yeah. So when you went through the chat,
I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me?
You are unmuted, but that's, I don't know.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Thank you, Penny. I'll send you the link. Thanks, Vahe.
I'll just call you.
Nope, still cannot hear you. Is it me? Oh, I bet it's me. If everybody else can hear you, I wonder if I don't have
because we can hear it.
My volume on here.
Can you hear me?
If anybody else is on and wants to ask a question, maybe you can ask and I can see if it's me, because it could be me. What am I using for speakers? I bet.
I can hear Kathleen.
Oh, it's me. Totally me. All right. I just switched to my correct speakers.
Okay.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. So sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So when you were in the chat floor and then you switched to the one and then there's another one for 3, is that all through the paid version of the $20?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm only paying the $60 I'm paying is just a separate version that doesn't give my data to ChatGPT. I'm uploading transcripts of conversations with my clients. We're
Yeah.
not discussing, nuclear warhead keys, but I still feel like it's worth $60 a month. So I can say, hey, by the way, I've got it in a private AI system that doesn't share the information publicly. So truth is, it's a $60 insurance policy. Does that make sense?
Okay. And then how do you record conversations?
I literally, if I'm on my iPhone, there's now a record feature to record on your iPhone. If I'm not, I use the sound recorder. Like if I'm talking to someone, I'll use the sound recorder on my iPhone, and it just record. It's an app that's default on all phones. If you're not an iPhone user, I don't know.
Oh, and then that transcribes?
No. So I upload it to a system called TurboScribe. So
Okay.
TurboScribe costs me $20 a month, but is worth every penny because I do it so much. I'm sure there's other ways. I tried 100 ways to transcribe audio. None of them gave me the accuracy and the ease that TurboScribe gives me. So TurboScribe. And I just upload the audio to TurboScribe, and in 2 minutes, it gives me a downloadable PDF or Word document. It's well worth it. So TurboScribe, Vahe, is transcribing my audio into words, written words, so that I can upload that into ChatGPT. So I record all of my meetings, and then I have it provide a summary for me, and I have it provide a summary for the client. And I'm super clear to my team, and I'm super clear to the client. The summary is 80% accurate. Like it's, you and I were in this conversation today, so you're going to see something in that summary that's going to be like, wait, that's not what John said. Then it probably is wrong. Like, don't take that as fact. It's the AI interpreting our conversation, but it'll be good as a trigger, as a reminder of the things that we talked about. And it costs me this much time and this much money to be very efficient in giving my clients feedback and keeping notes for myself for the future.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
And you can theoretically take that. Here's another thing you could do. Notebook LM allows you to do an audio upload. You could just take the audio and upload it straight to Notebook LM, and you could actually create a notebook on every one of your clients. And every meeting that you have, because especially with realtors, you are having more conversations with fewer clients as you're truly working with them. I'm having fewer conversations with more clients. So you can create a notebook for every one of your clients, and every time you're meeting with them, you can upload the audio of that meeting, and then you can use Notebook LM to give you a synopsis of that meeting or of all of your meetings. And there's a lot you could do. I hadn't even thought about that, but you could upload the audio file directly to Notebook LM, and it would probably transcribe it for you. It would transcribe it for you for free. And you can use Notebook LM then to analyze or give you feedback on what your next steps need to be, what this client's needs are. There's lots of things that you could use. I think Notebook LM would be a great way to do that. And yes, Vahe made a really good point. You have to let the client know you're recording. So I start my conversations with, hey, Mr. Client, I'd like your permission to record this meeting. I use this information to help me make sure I've got good notes and to help give you a recap at the end. Are you okay with that? They say yes. I've had one person in the last year say no. Aside from that, we record it and we're good. All right.
Thanks,
Anybody have other questions? Perfect. Thank you, gang. Don't forget about me for mortgages. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.